All right, I'll go off script. I thought this would be amazing, but I never really thought that tonight would be quite this amazing. And I certainly, 2 years ago, had visions of standing in front of a community that had so much energy and enthusiasm and excitement and working with great board members and members. I saw it, but I didn't know I'd see it this quickly, so I just want to say thanks. This is incredibly humbling. Thanks, and thank you, Shaye and the board. So before we get started, I'd like to welcome everybody to the 2016 Medical Alley Association annual meeting, which is actually our first Medical Alley Association annual meeting. But before we begin tonight, I'd like to begin with the acknowledgement of the loss of a great Medical Alley friend and contributor, Bob Klipinski. Bob was an FDA legal pioneer, gained national recognition for his work with Medtronic, Frederickson, and Byron, selflessly committed to this community, providing leadership in our organization, the BioBusiness Alliance of Minnesota, and with the University of St. Thomas. And Medical Alley will certainly miss Bob. So if you would join me in just taking a moment of silence to remember Bob Klipinski. Thank you. And of course, if you know Bob, you know he's standing behind me right now saying, all right, come on, get on with it. So we will. I'm happy to report, I always wanted to do this, but it always looked a little different, but I am very happy to report that the state of Medical Alley is strong. And wait till you see all the cool graphics and things we've got. I remember when I first started, Frank would give a presentation where the little Life Science Alley wheel would roll across the PowerPoint and say that that was our entire marketing budget. Thanks to all of you, that's no longer true. So it was just 2 years ago that all of you gave me really an extraordinary opportunity. And perhaps more importantly, our board gave me a clear mandate. Transform this association to be indispensable to our members, with clear focus and the delivery of true value. As a community, we were growing and evolving, and as an association, we needed to do the same. So we took a step back, we engaged all of you, we listened to your challenges, and we began to rebuild an association that could address your issues and elevate the community as a global thought and innovation leader. We refined our mission and adopted your vision for the future. Today, our mission is that we champion and facilitate an environment that enables health technology and care organizations to innovate, succeed, and influence the evolution of healthcare. Our vision is to elevate Minnesota's Medical Alley as the global epicenter of health, innovation, and care. So enter a clear focus and a mandate to influence healthcare. We will continue to refer to our membership as health technology and care organizations, who we are and who we aspire to be. In Medical Alley, health technology encompasses biopharma, medical devices, diagnostics, and digital health. And today, the vast majority of our nearly 700 members are health technology organizations or those who partner with and support them. But the care connection is also critical to our future, and we as an association are committed to further developing these sectors. Our mission is clear and now drives and governs our actions. We also needed a vision that matched this community, your vision for Medical Alley, and where you wanted us to focus our efforts. We aspire to be the elevating voice for this community, to aggressively work to have Medical Alley recognized around the world as the pioneers, the innovators, the thought leaders, and the deliverers of healthcare and technologies that transform lives. This past July, I think most of you know this by now, I think we've said it enough times, but the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History opened a new permanent exhibit entitled Places of Invention and recognized 6 great places of American ingenuity. The exhibit includes such places as Hollywood and Silicon Valley, and yes, it includes the tight-knit community of Minnesota's Medical Alley. So with the nation's most renowned museum permanently showcasing Medical Alley, we decided that it was time to both honor our legacy and rebuild a new brand for you to leverage. In 1984, our founders, leaders from the pharmaceutical and medical device sectors, along with hospital executives, payers, academia, and yes, government, envisioned a world where Made in Medical Alley was a sticker on every product that left here, and that together we could realize the full potential of Minnesota as the great state of health that would influence care around the world. This name first put us on the map, and so in 2016, the Medical Alley Association was reborn. While paying homage to our history, this association will be engaged in our own brand of innovation, consistently delivering the value you've requested. The Medical Alley Association is led by an exceptional board of directors, many of whom have been elected, as Sherry mentioned, in the last couple of years. It has been so exciting for me to get to work with these amazing leaders who have committed ungodly amounts of time to transforming the association. And so I'd like to skip the slow clap and just ask everybody to give a big round of applause to our board of directors. But to effectively transform our association, we needed both a collective vision, but significant support to transition our entire business model. None of this would have been possible without the amazing support and commitment, both financially and from a leadership perspective, of our foundational and sustaining members. So again, I ask you all to give them a big round of applause. And hopefully we'll really have a great round of applause for this one. I'd really like to personally thank the Medical Alley team. Playing on my team isn't always easy, I'm sure they'll tell you. But this team inspires me to be better every day. They work hard, they're engaged, they're passionate people. And I really do believe that, for those of us who work for you every day, they do it, it's a labor of love, and I honestly have never had the opportunity to work with a smarter, more giving, more fun group of people in my career. So please give a round of applause to our staff. So our team has listened and acted. You said, tell me something I don't know or I can't find. And so we launched Research and Intelligence, and I challenged Cheryl Matter to build something that would provide intelligence to our members and data that would elevate our community. And I think you all know that Cheryl and the entire team have produced now one of the most credible sources of information among our industries. And much of the attention that this community gets is the product of us pulling that data out, being able to compete as a geography and be able to tell your story. You said, we need a more collaborative dialogue across healthcare. Beyond health technology, we've committed to expanding our membership, engaging all sectors within healthcare to give Medical Alley the opportunity to truly lead the conversation. Our membership now includes digital health leaders like Optum and Hypnosis. We're bringing new health delivery members to the table with North Memorial Medical Center as our most recent addition. And we're proud to now include Blue Cross Blue Shield of Minnesota as a Medical Alley member. As we look to the future, we're building an association that is fully engaged across healthcare. We are on the road to realizing our vision that Minnesota's Medical Alley will truly be the epicenter of health innovation and care. So, is any of this making a difference? Are we making any progress? I wrote that before I got here tonight, so I don't know that I have to ask the question, but I will say the answer is yes, thanks to you. And beside just how we feel tonight, we're collecting information to be able to continually to demonstrate to you that we are making a difference. Over the past 2 years, your enthusiasm and participation has pushed the association to new heights, setting records for attracting new members and retaining old friends. In just the first quarter of 2016, we have welcomed 51 new members and pushed our annual retention rate to better than 90%. Our efforts to tell your stories and elevate the profile of Medical Alley is also showing great promise. Since the launch of our new brand and website in January, we've seen more than 110,000 page views and more than 200 media pickups. This significant shift means more exposure for our members and greater recognition of our community. Minnesota's Medical Alley directly employs more than 55,000 Minnesotans in biopharma, medical device, diagnostics, and digital health, with an additional 125,000 Minnesotans in jobs that support these industries. With an average annual compensation of more than $120,000 and an annual economic impact to Minnesota of $14.2 billion, Medical Alley is Minnesota's economic driver. And in addition, our companies, yes, please, yeah. And in addition, our companies have raised since 2011 more than $1.7 billion. When it comes to invention, I think you all know this, but nobody does it better than you do. Medical Alley produces more health technology patent applications and grants per capita than any other region in the world. And you go from invention to patient benefit faster than anyone else. Having a Minnesota address translates directly to fastest to market. For example, our experienced medical device companies gain 510K approval in 26% less time than the national average, and more than 30 days faster than a company with a California address. And our emerging companies, those going after their first few approvals, these Medical Alley entrepreneurs have an even greater advantage over the competition, beating the national 510K average by 50 days. Oh, and we do complex also. Since 2010, Minnesota companies seeking a first PMA approval beat the national average by almost 200 days, and our friends in California by almost 300 days. So, whether you're an entrepreneur, an investor, a strategic business developer, or a researcher, the conclusion is simple. Start your company here. Invest in a Medical Alley company. If you do, you'll cut your burn rate and you'll get to market a lot faster. So let's review the successes and challenges that we've experienced over the past year and take a look into our future. Last year, I stood here before you at the last Life Science Alley annual meeting, and I said, this year the medical device tax will be repealed. And everyone mostly laughed. I was willing to take a gamble, because if I was wrong, everybody agreed anyway. But we were almost right. 2015 saw the 2-year suspension of the medical device tax, which has been a top priority for this community, as we've determined that 25 to 30% of that entire national tax comes from or directly impacts the people in this room. So we worked very closely with the Minnesota congressional delegation and other federal partners, including AdvaMed, and if you haven't had a chance, I know there's several AdvaMed folks around the room, including Scott Whitaker, the new CEO, as well as AdvaMed coming here in the fall. But we worked closely with them and the Minnesota delegation. Minnesota showed true leadership with Amy Klobuchar and Eric Paulson leading the national efforts to secure suspension. Senator Franken was one of only 4 Senate co-sponsors on the full repeal bill. And I'm proud to say that the Minnesota delegation is the only delegation in the country who completely voted for full repeal, at least at some point, as these bills were moving through the Congress. We are confident that we will have a full repeal in 2 years, but I also want to share with you, I think what you know, which is this has really taken a toll, not just here in Minnesota, but on our industry. Over the past year, the number of 510K clearances have hit an all-time low. Over the past year, 510K clearances by US companies have declined by 26%. And interestingly, 510K clearances by foreign corporations have increased by 51%. And so a year ago, the balance of 80-20 US to non-US companies getting 510K clearance is now 2/3, 1/3, all in the last year's swing of 3 years of the tax. Despite this shift, Medical Alley still ranks as the #1 innovation cluster for health technology in the world. And this ranking is translating into new and increasing investments, including a record year in 2015. Minnesota health technology companies raised a record $442.7 million in 2015, the second consecutive year over $430 million. But 2015 wasn't just about big raises. 102 Minnesota companies secured investment, another record, and up from 87 in 2014. And 2015 closed particularly strong, with a record Q4 of $189 million raised, surpassing the previous high, Q2 of '09, by 35%. Minnesota Biopharma had the second best year in the last 7, raising $28.2 million and demonstrating a growing expertise in our community. More impressive, a record number of biopharma companies raised funds in 2015, up 18% over the previous record in 2014. And no surprise, digital health is taking off in Minnesota. 59% increase in funding in the past year, topping $67 million. But if you think that's exciting, how about the Minnesota diagnostics sector, up 253% since last year, with a total raise north of $27 million. And finally, and last but certainly not least, for the 3rd consecutive year in a row, our medical device sector saw investments that topped $300 million. At this time, I want to thank one of our great partners in our research endeavors. Evaluate, which had a booth out, and I hope you all got a chance to stop and say hi, has been a critical partner with us over the past 2 years as we've been developing our research offerings and collecting data. They've given us access to amazing data sets, and their premier services, including Evaluate Pharma, Evaluate MedTech, Evaluate Clinical Trials, have really been an invaluable resource. And I know all of you get a lot of value out of our research and reports, and so I appreciate the partnership that we have with Evaluate. I also want to take a minute to highlight the impact of something I know you're all interested in, the Minnesota Angel Investment Tax Credit. Made possible by the leadership in this room, working with our legislators to make a difference in how we created and funded early stage companies. Since 2012, Medical Alley companies have delivered a 10x return. The state's $21.4 million invested in Medical Alley companies has produced more than $230 million invested in those companies. Companies are starting here, they're growing here, and this partnership with the state of Minnesota, and in particular with DEED, is a great example of public-private partnerships and solutions that work. But growth doesn't stop there. Working with DEED, Greater MSP, many local leaders, we have seen significant investments in corporate expansions and relocations throughout Medical Alley. In biopharma, expansion projects include Upshur Smith, NMDP Be the Match, Lifecore, and Tycon. We've also welcomed Takeda Pharmaceuticals to Medical Alley, and we're seeing startups like Stemonics and Gila Therapeutics establishing their headquarters here. Smiths Medical has a new headquarters in Plymouth, and many other notable expansions have occurred in Medical Alley, including Beckman Coulter, St. Jude Medical, Olympus, and Selenix Diagnostics. And of course, let's not forget the Mayo Business Accelerator in Rochester or the Hormel Institute in Austin. It's like a couple of Hormel people. So as we look forward through 2016 and beyond, we all know that our business models are under stress and that they're being reshaped by public policy, reimbursement challenges, emerging markets, and the shift to value-based care. Every sector of our community faces new challenges that will require new approaches. The blurred lines between products and services, devices, drugs, diagnostics, combined with the evolution of digital health and patient engagement, brings an uncertain but an exciting future for our industries. There isn't any community in the world better positioned to bring new technologies, therapies, and services together to deliver better outcomes and more cost efficiencies. All of the expertise necessary to reform, transform, and right healthcare is in this room. The Medical Alley Association will be working to evolve with you. Our commitment to engage new payers and providers opens the door for us to explore bigger, more holistic solutions to healthcare challenges. We're committed to helping every one of our members dissolve the blind spots that exist in today's world of transition, from big data to technology adoption, from global supply chain challenges to bedside diagnostics, from care delivery innovation to risk sharing. We're looking at the big picture, but are engaging you to explore and define the specific answers to the biggest challenges. Our world is changing, especially in the US market, and today a clear picture of how best to adapt, innovate, and succeed continues to be elusive. There are red flags, like the shift in 510(k) approvals. You are competing in a global economic and policy environment that is inconsistent and difficult to predict. And this is exactly why we need you to bring your leadership to solving these challenges. For the next generation of entrepreneurs, the future looks very different than it did just 5 years ago. While we continue to raise record amounts of money, it comes from increasingly diverse portfolio of sources and structures. Angels, strategics, new players are having an increasing influence on the market. We are confident that funding will continue to increase here, particularly in diagnostics and in digital health, and that the acquisition markets that have been so robust across healthcare will continue for our community at least for the next 2 or 3 years. As new funding models continue to evolve and we begin to see growth in both the size and number of exits, we believe that our community is well positioned to grab an increasing share of investment across healthcare. Now, perhaps the most significant issue that our community faces over the next 5 years is the ability to access a qualified workforce to support our growth. According to an analysis from Greater MSP, we could be facing a shortage of up to 100,000 positions just by 2020. And while those numbers cover more than just Medical Alley, as one of Minnesota's key economic drivers, fueled by talent, this is our issue. Addressing this issue is a key driver of our efforts to better tell your story and elevate the profile of the leadership in this room. We must capture the interest and attention of an expanded workforce that hasn't yet made its way to Medical Alley. And as I close, let me just say that we did have an amazing year. The community, our association, it has been really a tremendous 2015. You all continue to grow, launch new products, influence the direction of healthcare, and there is so much here to be excited about. Record investments and expansions, the growth of biopharma, digital health, and diagnostics, victories for our industry, like device tax suspension, and new members joining our community every day. And I'll ask everyone to just remember, you are the #1 health technology cluster for innovation in the world. So, this year, we will build upon the changes we've made to better serve you and this community. And 2 years ago, when I took over our organization, I told you that we aspired to lead the conversation. I'll go back to something Herb Brooks said right before a certain hockey game, which is, this is our time. And so Minnesota leadership is greatly needed in solving today's problems. And so I look forward to leading that conversation together with all of you. Thank you for your membership and your support, and thanks for coming tonight.